Hey, let's make some cool Christmas tags. I've got a new product from Cricut today. They are the dual-sided markers for the Cricut Joy. They are a pack of 20 pins that come with a 1.0 millimeter broad tip for marker side and then a 0.4 millimeter for the pin side. I want to try to design a Christmas gift tag where I can use both sides of the pin and where I can also cut it out on my Joy. So let's get started. First, I want to start with an image, and I kind of decided I really wanted to play with a Christmas tree for these tags. So I told it I wanted to have a Christmas tree silhouette, which is what you can see up here. And because I'm going to draw this, a silhouette works perfect for this particular item. Um, let's see, I think I'm going to go with this one right here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that from a basic cut to a pin. And I want to use the fat side of my marker for this. Ooh, let's duplicate this. Okay, and then let's leave this one as a basic cut, and I'll show you why in a minute. Okay, so for this one, we've got it on a pin, and I'm going to choose marker because I'm going to be using the fatter end of the pin, and that way my outline will be kind of bold. Now this one over here, I'm going to change the color of this one to white. Well, actually, let's see if we can do this with an offset. So we now have a new tool menu. You click this little pencil icon up here, and then all of your options that you can do stuff with are now on this left-hand panel, which is really, really handy. Okay, I'm going to choose an offset. Do I want it that big? Let's go about here, and then hit apply. Okay, now on my offset, over here in my layers panel, I'm going to change that from draw to a basic cut. And then I'm going to change the color to white because I happen to be working with white cardstock today. Okay, I don't need this one. All right, so now we have our basic design. Now I want to add my to and from text. So here's my to, and then in a separate line altogether, I'm going to make a new text box for my from line. I want to be able to move these and manipulate them independently without having to worry about them being stacked on top of each other and not being able to alter left and right. This one, the font that it happens to be on is Dandelion, and I actually kind of like this font. But I think for this purpose, it's probably a little bit too big. So let's make it just a little bit smaller. And I want to leave room underneath where I'm putting this also in case, the person that it's coming from might be more than one person and we need extra room to write. And then our to line, let's check our height here. We've got 0.38 on that one and 0.44 on the from. So let's change that so at least they're the same. 0.38. Okay, there we go. Now our text is the same size. Now I'm going to use the same green pen that I am for the tree for the to and from lines, but I'm going to use the thin side. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to leave it on the fine point 0.4 millimeter. And I'm just going to pick green. I know this is going to look like a different color, but it won't matter because I'm still going to use the same pen. I'm just going to use the other side of it. Okay, and we will do the same thing for the to line. We'll change that to green. Now let's see, where do I want this to line? I'm thinking maybe up here a little bit, and I think I want to bring this from line up a little bit too. Let's go up about here. Okay, let's scoot the front from just a little bit away from the edge. Okay, I think I like that. Okay, now I'm also going to cut these out and I'm going to put probably baker's twine in to them to hold them onto the gift. So I'm also going to add a shape and it's going to be a circle, and let's go with 0.25 for the size. And we're probably going to have to make our screen, bigger, not smaller, so that we can actually see our little circle. And let's see, let's try to center it as best we can. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select all 3 of these items, and then I'm going to go up to align and center horizontally. That does not look centered. Let's go ahead and put it in manually then. Oh, actually, let's try selecting just the outline of the offset and the hole that we're trying to. Boy, that still does not look centered to me. Okay, well, we're going to eyeball it. That actually looks pretty good. Okay, so we're gonna select our hole, and then we're gonna select our offset layer over here in the layers panel, and then we're gonna go down here to slice. Now what that should have done was given us 2 extra pieces that we now can delete. Now we have a hole. Now since that was the last thing we edited, it moved it to the front. So I'm gonna send it back to the back so that we can still see our text and everything on the front. Now I think I pretty much like this the way it is. So now I want to select everything and then go down here and attach. That way, when I go to make it, everything will actually write on top of the shape that I've selected. And this tag is currently over 5 inches tall. I kind of feel like that's a little bit big. So I think I'm going to go with even 3 inches is kind of big. Let's set it at 3, well, almost 3. Now let's hit make it and just see how big this is. Okay, we're on our Joy. So let's go, let's say I want 10 of those, and I'll hit apply. Well, 10 won't quite fit on a single sheet. So let's go back and let's make them, actually, let's do this. Let's duplicate one and then bring it over here. I'm going to hold my shift key down, and I'm going to flip this one upside down. And then I'm going to get it really close to the other one. And then I'm going to duplicate again. Normally I don't suggest doing this. I suggest telling it to make multiple copies on the make it screen. But for this, see, I want to align these top. Oh, see, I'm glad I did that because now I know this one's too close. Okay, let's try again. How wide are we? We're at 6.8, so we actually have plenty of room. So I'm going to move these just a little bit more, give it a little bit more room for error. Okay, now I'm going to line them top again. And that looks pretty good to me. Now these I'm going to go ahead and attach. So we have 3 of them in a row now. And now I'm going to go to my make it screen and try telling it I want to make 4 rows. Let's see if 4 will fit. Nope, 4 doesn't quite fit. But if I try to make 4 rows fit on 11-inch paper, you can see they would have to be quite a bit smaller. So I think we're just going to go with that. Now I'll meet you on the other screen where I cut these out and show you how it worked. Okay, so now we're going to move on to actually cutting these out of my Joy machine. This is the new Cricut pins for the Joy and the Joy Extra. They come in a 20 pack and it gives you all of the colors you could possibly need. For these, I'm going to use this green right here. Now I'm going to close my Joy so I have room to work. This mat is well loved, so I will be using my brayer to make sure that my paper is stuck down well. Make sure you also check your brayer every now and then and make sure it's clean so that it doesn't leave marks on your paper. Okay, we're almost ready. Let's see, let me hit continue so I can see which end of the pin it is going to ask for first. And you can't see this obviously because you're looking at my desk, but I'm choosing medium cardstock even though I'm using Cricut's light cardstock just because I want to make sure that it cuts all the way through. Okay, it's telling me to load the 1.0 end of the pin. As you can see, it's marked on both sides. One side says 1 and one side says 0.4. It is also I don't know if you can see that. It's also marked on the cap end. So I'm going to remove my blade and drop my pin in and close the clamp. And now my light is flashing, so it's waiting for me to insert my mat. When I work on the Joy, there is a little sensor right here. As soon as your mat covers that sensor, it is going to try to grab that mat and run it through. And as often I have found, it does not grab that mat straight. So what I do is I kind of tilt the back end of my mat up. I get just the edge up underneath the lip of this, and then I push it in really fast. And that way it catches both of those rollers at the same time and feeds evenly. And I do that every time I load my mat on my Joy Extra. Okay, now we're going to hit go. I could literally sit here all day and just watch my Cricut machines draw. It just fascinates me. Now once it draws this outline, it should pop up and ask me to insert the other green pin, when in all actuality all I'm going to do is take my pin out and flip it over. What's really cool about this too is that way you also make sure your color matches exactly. If you happen to be wanting to keep your color the same and you just wanted to change how thick the line was, this is the perfect way to get that and not have to worry about your pin colors being slightly off from each other. Okay, now it's telling me to load the other color, so I'm going to cap this end, take this one off, load it in my machine, and then I'm going to tell it to go. It's so interesting to me to watch it draw when it's doing text, to see what it draws first and why. It seems like it just kind of skips everywhere. Now, if you happen to be using gel pens in your machine, you might want to consider moving your little white star wheels that are on your crossbar on your machine. The gel ink takes quite a while to dry, and if those little star wheels happen to touch it, it'll smear your ink. That is not going to be the case with these particular pens, because these are just like your marker style pens, so they're just a water-based ink, so they'll dry pretty quick. Almost halfway. Text does take quite a bit longer to draw, mostly because the pen has to lift and go back down so often. As you saw with the trees, it drew those pretty fast because it was just one continuous line for each tree. Almost there. Okay, it's done. Now it wants me to insert the blade, so I'm going to do that and tell it to go. Then I'm going to immediately recap my pen and put it away so I don't lose it. we're done. So I'm going to tell it to unload, and then I'm going to close up my Joy and scoot it up out of my way. I'm also going to grab my scissors. Hopefully these cut through. It looks like they did. Okay, so what I like to do is I flip my mat over, and then I peel the mat off of my paper. That helps keep the paper from getting curled up. And then I will turn my mat sideways, or whichever direction works best to get the pieces to kind of pop up so that I can grab them. I will clean my mat off later, but I am going to put my cover right back on so that I make sure that I keep everything else off of it. Look at how cute these turned out. I really like the effect you get when you have a thicker area and then a thinner area like in the font. Okay, now for these, I think I'm going to use some of this instead of bigger twine on a couple of these. Now when I do mine, I just take my two ends and I wrap them around and just tie them off together. Okay, there you go. How cute is that? I just love these pins, and I really love these tags. Links to my project and the new pins will be in the description below. Happy crafting!